Hi everybody and welcome to the magickal.com's videos. Remember to like and subscribe so that more people see this. Today I figured we'd go ahead and talk about decks. I've had comments about decks being so broad that a lot of people get intimidated and overwhelmed by the selections out there. So we're going to talk about oracle cards today, and next week we're going to dive into tarot. So today I thought I'd show you a few of my favorite decks. Oracle cards, those are usually used for insight, guidance, sometimes answers because they can be used similarly to tarot cards. But I like to use them day to day, usually in the morning, kind of gives me an idea of how the day is going to go. It's simply randomly shuffling your cards. Heck, there's some days I don't even have time to do that, and I just randomly draw a card out of the deck, look at it, read it, take it in, and go about my day. 9 times out of 10, they're always correct. People use them when they need guidance, kind of in the situation where if you're not sure of a certain decision to make, you could do it this way, you could do it that way, I'm not sure, fork in the road. This kind of helps you pull a card and give you some insight as to which way it's probably going to happen. A lot of times too, people will ask, what do you think I need to do about? And then you just pull a card and you read it to them. When I'm doing readings from others, I do like them to randomly pick the card because then my hands are clean, don't need to worry about it. I have nothing to do with it. They can't say I stacked the deck or I'm interpreting it the way they want to hear it. This way, shuffle it, let them choose the card. It's all in their hands, no pun intended. The oracle decks that I like to use, this one is called Trust Your Vibes. And they all look very different. So you could see it here. And the deck, most decks, are not just the card deck, but they also come with the tutorial book. This is easy. You don't have to have any experience whatsoever to do an oracle deck for yourself, for some friends or family. This goes with these. So when you pull a card, you see these kind of designs on this. See that? And this is the back of the deck. You know, kind of like a plain deck of cards where it'll all be the same in the back. You would then pick a card randomly out of the deck. And let's see what today's message is. It'll say here, number, and that's what you would look up in the book. And the title of it says, make a note of it. It's funny because I got my notes written right behind the camera. So you would look it up in the book. So let's look up number 34. Okay, I gotta grab glasses, sorry. So today's card would say, here's where you open it up and it gives you the meanings inside of it. And it says you may be intercepting vibrations from your guides regularly, but having the confidence to trust your vibes fully may still be a challenge. So what you want to do, sorry about this. So what you want to do is you go ahead and take that card for what it's saying. You don't necessarily need to take it word for word. You kind of got the gist out of what those few sentences were saying. But this goes, most of them will give you about 1.5 pages to 2 pages of explanation and kind of some different variations that might play in different situations that you're experiencing. Now this next one, another one of my favorites, is called Wisdom of the Hidden Realms. This one also is a very beautiful deck. You'll also notice that each deck usually has its own unique artist. The artists all have different takes on the world of spirituality. It's really interesting because some are very archaic, some of them are, oh gosh, early European, others are very unique and modern. It doesn't matter, but they certainly do have a beautiful way of doing it. Now like this deck, this is what the outside here looks like. And you see that they're gold. A lot of them will have the pretty gold on the sides. And then you can see the various art of each of the cards, as they're all unique in their own for what their meanings are. This one also comes with its own book. And in here, this particular book, now remember the other one had numbers on the cards. These have titles that are alphabetically listed in the book. So as we pull a card randomly out of here, this one says the Horse King, for assistance to others and control. I'm sure a lot of my family could relate to the control part. So then you would look up the meanings and go from there. Now all of these decks here, you'll see that there's a wide range of them. Here's Romance Angels. Now these particularly are ones that you want to use with any questions related to relationships. Probably more practical for the intimate relationships, like boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, dating scenarios, things like that, as these are more along those types of relationships, not so much geared towards like friendship type of relationships or co-worker relationships or things like that. And then the other one here, Saints and Angels. You see that they come from all different variations of spirituality. This one goes more to the Christian beliefs. And then this one, another wisdom oracle, and you could see the European influence on this one. And they're all 52 cards. They're all pretty standard in counts and sizes. Even the way they hold in the hand, they're all pretty much the same. Some of them can be very large, which are beautiful, but makes it pretty difficult to shuffle and to utilize every day. You want one that fits nice in your hand. Now, as I've shown you the examples of all of these decks here, I wanted to also be able to let you know the reasons why people use these instead of tarot. Now, tarot breaks things down into a lot of details, which is really good when someone's looking for some specific answers or guidance to a very specific situation. Really, the only time that you can be really general in tarot is the 3-card flip, which is your past, your present, and your future. With oracle cards, you can lay them out in the same layouts as tarot, but they give you your general guidance. If you're looking for a lot more specifics, then I would suggest tarot cards because they get specific. They even get into specifics about a man or a woman and what that person may look like, who they may be in your life, or a certain situation with work, and it'll break it all down into several cards. Most card layouts can go anywhere from 3 all the way up to 21 card layouts. I've seen somebody do a full deck layout, which is a lot of cards since there was 70 cards in those. You can tend to get overwhelmed with those. So if you're just beginning, you probably want to put tarot to the second spot, and your number 1 spot should be these types of decks, your oracles. It'll get you familiar with how it works. Shuffling the deck, randomly picking one out, or from the top, laying out your layouts and how to interpret them as a whole or individually. This here, sometimes if you want your past, present, future, it gives you general ideas of each one. If you're looking for guidance about a certain situation, but you still want 3 cards, that's okay. You can have 10 cards. You can do whatever you want that you feel you need to do. Lay them out on the table and interpret all of them as a whole, all together. What do they all mean? What is the picture it's painting? If it still feels like, okay, I got the idea, but I still feel like there's something missing, or I'm still kind of not sure, draw another card. Lay it on the table next to all of those cards you have and see if that helps define it a little better for you. Tarot is much more specific, but that's why it was always used in divination. It actually has been around since the 15th century, and it's guessed to be that it actually was brought by a trader over from Egypt. It started out as a game, but then they realized that through the exposure of games, kind of like social media, exposing things, people are realizing the more that we're playing this game, we're realizing there was more to it than that. It began to turn into divination tool around the 18th century and has been a very common tool ever since then. We'll dive into that next week, and it's probably going to be a few weeks after, because we'll go and break it down into the categories, the groups, and then how to interpret. Whereas these here, they really are this simple. Just what I've been telling you today. So go ahead. You can find them just about anywhere. Bookshops, Barnes & Noble even has them. Or you can absolutely go on Amazon or another online shop and order them online, especially if some people aren't very comfortable with others knowing that you're into this. So go ahead. I encourage you to get a deck, play with it, make sure you connect with it. There will be, not often, but there's times where you don't really feel connected to the cards. And the way to connect with it is you'll know just by looking at it, the art on it, the way it's done, either by index number or is it alphabetically in a book, whatever feels good to you. A lot of these decks too, as you can see, were geared towards certain belief systems or towards certain needs. Find the one that works for you and use it. Now test it when you first get it. If you felt connected enough to order it, doesn't mean that it's all fine and good. Now use the deck and test it. Make sure that it's doing what you feel is connecting. If it doesn't really come in close to generic questions you're asking, I would go ahead and probably box it up and send it back and try another one. Now, like I said, this does not happen often, but it does happen. So make sure you test it out. And if you've got those cards and they're ringing right in, great. Then you're well on your way. I would suggest continuing to add them. As you can see just from these very basics I brought out, they're all for different reasons, different needs, different faith-based systems. And especially if you're looking to read for others, you want a nice enough variety that would work for the person as close as possible that you're reading for. So we'll go ahead and end there. Next week, we'll go ahead and start diving into tarot. Now, that's going to take a few episodes, I'm sure, to get through, but we're going to go ahead and take it head on, okay? Until then, blessed be.